Welcome to the Iconocast. This is my first podcast, and let's just dive right into it. Today I want to talk about business gurus, life coaches. I want to talk about hustlers. I want to talk about Gary Vee. I want to talk about Scarface. I want to talk about Tony Robbins. I want to talk about fake hustlers. So Gary Vee, my man. All right, love-hate relationship, man. I was first introduced to Gary Vee by seeing something on Facebook or Instagram, and it was a video of him, doing a motivational speech. And there's some guy in the audience asking him like, hey, what do I do, man? There's no opportunities where I am. My parents are keeping me down. There's no opportunities in this town. And his response was like, so move. And I was like, damn, all right, I got mad respect for you. Finally a life coach who tells it like it is. And so I had so much respect for this guy right off the bat, just from seeing that one clip. And I think a lot of people were like, okay, he's a no nonsense life coach. Problem is there's no way to win at being a life coach. You're going to lose no matter what. Because it's a ridiculous thing to call yourself a life coach unless you are specifically invested in one person, one-to-one. Obviously, you can be a life coach for yourself. Obviously, you can be a life coach for someone that you know intimately or someone that you care about or even someone that hires you, I guess. But it needs to be one-on-one. To have this one-size-fits-all philosophy and put that out there as truth, you're going to lose no matter what. You're losing before you even start. And I've read that he was reluctant to kind of step into this business guru, life coach position. And, I give you credit for your foresight. You shouldn't have stepped into it. I mean, that's my opinion. But I do not think overall that what he is putting out there is helping society. Let me explain that. I'm not just trying to trash him. Let me actually explain that, okay? There are so many people coming up right now that label themselves quote unquote hustlers. That's a term I have never used, first of all, and I abhor that term. To me, hustlers are kind of like the vultures that are just scavenging for any piece of meat. They will, sell out their wife, their children, their brother, their sister. It doesn't matter. Hustlers are scavengers. And ironically, I had someone contact me a few months ago on Facebook, and it was a troll account. They didn't have a picture, and it was obviously a fake account, right? I don't know if they created the fake account just to troll me. They sent me a message and basically said, oh, you a fake ass hustler or something like that. And I didn't, I'm not going to waste my time on hate. I just blocked them. And that was it. And it didn't really stick with me or massively bother me, honestly. I was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm probably fucking your ex-girlfriend right now, because why the hell else would you create a troll account to write me and call me a fake ass hustler? I'm probably fucking your ex-girlfriend. Sorry, buddy. But, I don't know who it was, obviously. But obviously it wasn't someone who knew me, because I never have called myself a hustler. If I ever called myself a hustler, it was maybe when I first moved to the Hollywood Hills and I kind of bought into the idea for a minute. And I bought into the Scarface dream that every up-and-coming hustler and every up-and-coming rapper and all these guys, I bought into that for a minute. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I could be like Scarface. But I knew even then, and I still know, most people that love Scarface, all these rappers, all these up-and-coming hustlers, most people that love Scarface, is like they never watched the second half of that movie. They only watch from the beginning. They basically watch and go, okay, this dude came from nothing. He's not the best looking guy. He's poor. He doesn't have anything going for him. He's an immigrant. He ain't got shit. And then look at him now. He came up so fast. He's living in that multi-million-dollar mansion. He has the hottest girl, arguably. And so many, especially guys, up-and-coming guys who label themselves hustlers really relate to this. And I did too. I love that movie. I'm not going to lie. I love that movie. And that's why when I first went to the Hollywood Hills and started doing a bunch of cocaine, but then I just realized that lifestyle wasn't sustainable and it wasn't really for me. And even then, I knew. That's the first half of the movie. That's great. But to me, the turning point in that movie is when Frank, and he kills Frank, right? Frank comes to him and he's like, I told you from the beginning, you know, the ones who make it in this business are the ones who are low key, who don't fly too high. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know it that well. Don't fly too high. That's the actual message of that movie, and that's what none of these so-called hustlers seem to get. Is not about just, you know, keep on rising, keep on going up, 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 up. No, you fucking fly too high, you're gonna get shot down. That is the moral of the story of Scarface. You know, and to me, the turning point, and I think it's almost midway through the movie. I could be wrong again. I actually haven't seen that movie in at least a few years. But the turning point of the movie is then when he makes that decision to just keep on pushing. Just keep on pushing. And, you know, he flies too high and he gets shot the fuck down. You know, his ego gets the best of him. And that's the problem with hustlers. It's all about their ego. It's all about, what can you do for me? Not what can I do for you? What can you do for me? What can you do to fucking make my situation more advantageous? And that's why I've never called myself that, unless, again, like maybe once when I was really fucking high, I might have fucking said some shit. Who knows? I don't remember. But to me, Gary Vee is part of that culture. And to me, it's a poisonous culture. And to me as well, to push all these ideas on people who are still impressionable. Nothing against Gen Z. I'm going to give you guys all credit. First of all, let's just make that clear. Gen Z, there's never been a generation as media savvy, as socially savvy, as charismatic, honestly, as Gen Z. That's a fucking fact. I give you guys all credit. Go back and look at like commercials or look at like those video dating shows from the 80s. You know, when you have these super awkward people and you're like, what the fuck? And those were the actual videos. These super awkward people, they had no like social savvy at all. They had no charisma. And then you'll see the owner of a business like Bob's Carpet, and he'll be like, well, welcome to Bob's Carpet. He's like reading off a cue card. He can't even remember the name of his own business or what he stands for. You don't believe a word he's saying. He's literally, it's his business. Like, he should be psyched about it, right? But he's like, we have 50% off all the carpet. You know, it's like, come on, man. So I give Gen Z all credit. You guys are way more charismatic than people in the past. And Gary Vee's charismatic as hell. And that's why he appeals to, even though he's a dude, you know, in his mid 40s, he appeals to so many people who are Gen Z. Because he has, well, obviously he's very savvy with all that stuff. And I relate to Gary Vee in a lot of ways. And I think we have some similarities. But I think I'm just much more of a realist. And the thing is, as great as Gen Z is at social media and being influencers, not everyone's meant to be a fucking influencer. They just not. And we don't need people. I think he said create 60 pieces of content per day at some point. No, man, no. What we need to do is have people create quality content. I know for a fucking fact, I'm cocky. I know for a fact that like my charisma is in the top percentile. You know, I just fucking know it. It's not a question. And I haven't been able to make it as a, I don't even want to say influencer because I also hate that term, but as a personality, as an icon, as a whatever. I mean, my main passion is music, and also the idea that if you go 100% into something does not translate into the music industry. Some of the most talented people I know who go all in are basically like homeless. And I literally know, I'm taking myself out of the equation. Some of the most talented people I know are either homeless or on the verge of being homeless. And they're much more talented than the people that we, objectively and subjectively, I know for a fact that they're more talented than most of the people that we hear on the Billboard charts. And their drive is on point. Their drive is there. In the music industry, there's no parallel between how hard you work and how successful you're going to be. I mean, of course, if you're stubborn and you never give up, you might get somewhere. You know, I just recently have started selling sample packs, and they're selling. I mean, that's all I can say about that. But it's still not a full-time living. I own a marketing company. I own a medical supply company. You know, I own other businesses besides that, and I'm starting other businesses besides that. And I mean, there have been times in my life where I went all in on music, and I almost ended up homeless at those times. So there's no clear correlation between how hard you work and how bad you want it, and even how good you are, especially in the music industry. And that's why I know like a lot of these ideas are bullshit. It's really like toxic positivity. So when someone like Gary Vee tells Gen Z, there you go. That's kind of interesting. Tells them like, oh, you can do anything. You just got to go all in. You know, you can fuck school, you know, which I mean, I agree, fuck school. But what is right for me and what is right for Gary Vee is not going to be right for everyone. And again, it's this one size fits all philosophy. And you can argue then like, oh, but if he's putting all this positivity, inspiring these people to just go for their dreams and that's all for the good no matter what, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's not, because it's not fucking realistic. It's not realistic. And, you know, there's many of them maybe living with their parents, and then their parents have to continue to support them. While they try to become an influencer? Again, I know that I'm more charismatic. I fucking know I am than the average person. I mean, even on this channel, I have videos going way, way back. I've had around 500,000 views on this channel, and I'm trying to get those views back up again. But recently I've been making videos, and my views, actually they have been going up a little bit, I'll be honest. And by this channel, because I am going to make this a podcast, put it on Spotify, I'm talking about YouTube. Oh, what was my point again? Anyway, my point is this. Someone who I know has very original content, who is very charismatic, such as myself, if I haven't made it by this point, then there's no guarantees that someone just coming up, and there's many people who aren't like that charismatic, honestly. They may have other great qualities. Everyone has their own strengths. And so to push this idea that everyone should be creating more content and everyone should be influencers is just a horrible idea. There's so many people who I wish would create less content. And that includes Gary Vee. I'm sick of seeing his fucking face, quite honestly, man. No offense, dude, but like, it's ridiculous. Also, again, going back to the one size fits all, Gary Vee's like a Boston Terrier. Like, he is full of energy, and that's why, like, you know, I don't think he's the best looking guy, but he's just like so in your face with his energy that it's just undeniable. But his life plan and what he promotes and what he tells people they should be doing is based on his own experience and based on his own even physiology, based on his own, metabolism even. You know, most people are not wired like you. Me, for example, although I do see some similarities between me and him, I am a much more low-key person naturally. Now, I biohack the fuck out of myself and know that does not mean doing a bunch of cocaine, because that just doesn't work. In fact, I don't even touch this stuff anymore. Because I feel incredible for 20 minutes and then I feel worse, way worse than I did before I snorted it. So I don't fuck with it, have not fucked with it in years, honestly. But point being, I don't think he fucks with really any drugs. I think he's one of these, really straight-laced type of dudes. But he's wired like he's on cocaine all the time. Not so much lately. Lately, I'm seeing, and I even see him talk about it a little bit, where he just seems like he's getting older and he's getting a lot more tired. Me, I grew up, I was the most unhealthy I've ever been in my early 20s. I was basically bedridden. I had fibromyalgia. I have narcolepsy. I still have these things, sleep apnea. All these things are interrelated. But so I've always been naturally low energy. So I had to, through my mind, really optimize my energy, and so it took many years to kind of hack myself and go, okay. I mean, one of the things, anyone who's into nootropics out there is going to know exactly what I'm talking about, but modafinil, which is what the movie Limitless was based on, modafinil, is incredible. I wouldn't be able to fucking make it through the week without modafinil, and it's prescribed for narcolepsy, so it makes sense. And I'm pretty sure people like Gary Vee have said don't mess with these type of performance enhancers. But again, it's because you're naturally wired, man. For me, I need that. And that's probably only, that's only accounts for 20% of my good performance days. Add in yerba mate, add in a lot of other biohacking secrets that, I can make a whole podcast dedicated to how I keep my energy up, because I have to do it. It doesn't come natural for me. That's not my natural state. It's not my natural physiology. And so that one size fits all, most people in the country don't have fibromyalgia or narcolepsy. Granted, I give you that. But most people are not even close to as high energy as Gary Vee is, naturally. Now, of course, there's going to be like a great reckoning, not the great singularity, but the great reckoning within Gary Vee's mind, where he's going to keep getting older and be like, oh, okay, now I get it. This idea that I'm supposed to hustle and do everything myself. First of all, the smartest business people do not try to push and do everything themselves. Yeah, you're going to have to put in some serious work. I've been self-employed well over 20 years and successful for the most part for most of that time. But the most successful people, and I haven't done this right, I'm going to be the first to admit, but the most successful people understand there's always going to be someone better than you at one particular aspect of your job. If you're trying to, wear all the hats, and I know he has employees, but I think to some extent this is a major weakness. And I think if he wasn't so socially media savvy, he wouldn't be nearly as successful. But that's not a good long-term strategy. He also talks about, all the time he says, there's no such thing as, I'm almost positive he said there's no such thing as passive income. What an absolute fucking bullshit response. Of course I'm making passive income right now. I am making, and if you do not have naturally high energy, it's much, much smarter, number one, to have a team around you who are better than you are at their individual jobs. And secondly, it's much smarter to create a passive income stream, because if your whole income is reliant on you working, 20 hours a day or something, it's absolutely absurd. It's not sustainable. It doesn't matter who you are. It is not sustainable. And that is going to become clear to him at some point. I'm not saying I'm the new person you should follow, but what I am saying is if you're going to have a life coach, it has to be one-on-one. I would make a better life coach than Gary Vee. Yes, I honestly believe that, because I would fucking tell someone based on their attributes and based on our conversations, I would never give this one-size-fits-all advice. I can say what's worked for me, but for example, I don't know, about a year ago, there's a girl who moved to LA. She moved like during COVID, the worst possible time. Typical, young woman trying to follow her dreams, and, everyone comes to LA, which first of all is a horrible idea. And she wanted to be a model. And I mean, first of all, I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but she didn't fit any of the standard criteria of what makes a successful model. That's all I'm going to say. Secondly, her face would just light up, and she always seemed to be the most happy when she was dancing. And, I'm a realist. So to me, pursuing anything in the entertainment industry in LA is foolish. It's fucking foolish. I mean, unless you're just insanely, ridiculously Zoolander good looking, it's just a fool's dream. At least I was like, I tried to be honest with her, and I was like, you actually are really good at dancing. It seems like it makes you happy. Why don't you forget about the modeling and focus on that? I mean, but I also told her that she, shouldn't have moved to fucking LA in a fucking pandemic when there's nothing going on in the entertainment industry, which is true as well. That is good fucking advice. That, my friend, is good advice. It's not meant to be cruel, but I'm equally as hard on myself. Like I said, I had seen that my content's not converting lately, so I was like, okay, well, fuck y'all. I'm not going to make myself the focal point of these. I'm going to start podcasting. I'm going to start VTubing. And again, I think that I look pretty damn good on most days. And I've dated some of the most beautiful women in the world, so something's working for me. That's all I got to say. One thing is I'm cocky as hell, and I do look pretty good on certain days. But I suck at lighting, and I recognize that. And that's, again, going back to everyone has their strengths. Everyone has their weaknesses. Don't pretend that everyone enters the game equal. And that doesn't mean that you can't get better. I'm a singer, of course. I do vocal exercises every day. That improves my voice. It's 100%. Anyone who does vocal exercises, even if they say they're tone deaf, if you do vocal exercises every day, you will get better. And you could even develop perfect pitch. I don't believe that you have to be tone deaf. Again, it's not about spreading negativity. It's just about being a realist. Another example, I cleaned my house today, which I don't do enough of. And many times I hire a maid service. That's what I've done in the past. And a lot of people be like, well, that's a waste of money. And you're right, it is a fucking waste of money. But at the end of the day, I know that I can make more money in the time that I wasted a couple hours cleaning today. And the place is still not even close to as clean as it should be, because that's not my skill set. Now, there's a lot of people who'll be like, well, you should clean your own house and you should mow your own lawn and you should, it builds character and it's, part of being a more complete human. And maybe you're right. I don't fucking know. All I know is I don't believe that. I believe that we all have our own skill sets. And, well, mine is working on a computer way too much. And whether that's making music, producing music, or, working my various businesses or creating ad campaigns or whatever it is, no matter what I do, it's almost always I'm on a fucking computer, which I'd like to change. And will change with more and more passive income, which is definitely the way to go. Everyone should be working towards passive income. They shouldn't be working towards whatever Gary Vee is promoting. Yeah, the other point is like all these young hustlers coming up and they follow Gary Vee's advice I wonder how many of them are living with their parents and, putting a strain on their parents because they're following their dream of being an influencer, or how many end up being homeless. And that's why I said, it's kind of like toxic positivity, because pushing this idea that everyone's meant to be an influencer is just not fucking true. There's a lot of kids that are never going to make it. And are they telling their story about how they ended up homeless? Because times are tough out there, man. And Gary Vee can talk about all this stuff. And now I really actually did come from nothing. I came from a family of artists and, self-employed artists. And they were also very proud and refused to accept any government help, no food stamps. We literally did not have food on the table. A lot. There's a lot of times where there was literally not food on the table. So, I actually did come from nothing. So I get it. And that's why I think it's really irresponsible. Because, he brags about taking a $3 million business to like a $50 million business. All right, bro. But it was a $3 million business before you got involved. Do I think that he's ever really struggled? No, man. No, not like I have. That's for damn sure. Not like a lot of people out there have. And it's irresponsible because most of the kids who are coming up who call themselves hustlers and follow someone like Gary Vee are coming from, a less advantageous start. And so why do I think it's more harm than good? Because it's going to be only like 10% of people, I feel like, that are going to be successful following your ideas of becoming a hustler, becoming an influencer, buying shit off Craigslist or OfferUp and then reselling it on Craigslist and OfferUp. I honestly think that my point of view, even though it's more realist, is actually more empathetic and is actually better advice. Because fake positivity doesn't bring anything good. Sure, there's going to be that top 10%, sure, who will go, okay, yeah, I'll fucking travel across town, buy these, collectible baseball cards for this amount, and then I'll turn around and sell them on eBay for this amount. There's going to be, there's always that top tier that actually will make it work. But you know what? Those people would have made it work anyways. Those people would have made, and there's going to be a vast majority who can't make it work. And so that type of false promise is actually doing more harm than good. Because have you thought about if you've made people homeless? It's irresponsible, man. I refuse to say any different. It's irresponsible and it's fucked up. It's also creating a lot of opportunists, hustlers who will lie, cheat, and steal and fucking do anything for $1, which is not good either. There's no way to give that type of blanket advice. And most people should not be influencers, and we don't need more content. Some of y'all are doing a good job. Some of y'all not so much. And I've created some lackluster, shitty content, but I've also created some amazing content. Again, know where your strengths are. And I'm finally starting to realize, and I think the podcasting is going to be good for me. And hopefully, in a few years, people will look back at this first podcast and be like, oh, look, that's where he started. And he's saying he didn't have that many followers. What the fuck? And I truly believe that, because I truly believe that I have a different point of view and I have been through a lot of shit and I have some good advice to share. And I can talk forever, but I think that's a good start. Thank you guys for listening. Please do ring that bell, all that good stuff, so you get notified when I create more podcasts, when I create more music tutorials, when I do the VTubing thing. I don't know, I got all kinds of stuff on the plate here. And I'm creating some pretty cool content, even with video production. If you've seen my sample pack that I just released, I created that whole video my own damn self, and that's not even my gig. So again, know your strengths. And I know that some of the content I'm creating is a step above. I know that the ad I created is a lot more compelling, a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting. So pick up that sample pack, y'all. It's called Cyberpunk Uprising. And thank you guys for listening. Till next time.